welcome, please, Adrian O'Grady.
Thanks, Rod. Thanks very much. Thank you. And how's everybody? There's our flag. It's upside down, so I hope that's not a bad omen for me starting off. I'm here to talk about our family information night and how that came about. Well, starting off, this is where we were in 2013, to give you a picture. We were like NASA after a successful rocket launch. We were high-fiving each other. Suicide rates were tumbling down. We'd done a couple of great interventions. Everything was working well with our CISM team. We'd only just had a new CISM team started a couple of years ago. Everything was fantastic. So everything was working phenomenally. So there was air high fives. Everything was excellent. So we were kind of going, okay, what can we do next? What's the next step for us? And of course, the next step was research. Let's start looking at ourselves and let's start looking at what we can do. And at that time, we had a recruit class, probationers, ready to leave our training center and go out into the big bad world. And they go out from our training center and go out for about a year and a half and experience the world and experience all the traumas, and then come back for assessments, see how they're doing, and then they're passed out as firefighters and paramedics. So it was a perfect opportunity to do a qualitative research on them, see how they are with their trauma and how they're holding it, and how we fit in with their supports and with CISM. So what could go wrong? Perfect. Like we're brilliant. We're high-fiving each other. We're an excellent organization. CISM is an excellent peer support. What could go wrong? Absolutely nothing, of course. So the recruits came back. They filled out all their forms, and this is the bit that killed us. And that quote at the bottom hit us hard. I would use my wife as a support much more than an officer or CISM. It's just my way of dealing with things. Wow. Hit us cold. After all the policies, documents, training, pre-incident training, resilience training, everything we've done, and they came back a year and a half later and hit us with that. They would talk to their family and friends before talking to an officer and CISM. Ouch. Now, over our side of the water, we don't really train the 5 stages of grief anymore. We don't go down that line of stages of grief, but they explained what happened to me. Anger, that was my first response. Those damn recruits. That was my first response to them. Now, you can replace damn with other expletives there for me. Everything else came out of my mouth. Denial. Those recruits, what do they know? That's the next thing that came out of my mouth. We've got a great saying over there. Recruits don't know their arse from their elbow. That's what we... there's such a wet day in the place, they don't know nothing. That's the next bit. Then bargaining came out. They didn't understand the questions. That's what it was. The research, they didn't understand the questions. Next thing that came out of my head was, we didn't ask the right questions in the research. We didn't ask the questions that got us the right answers. That's the bargaining that came out of my head. And then across depression, system's all wrong. Oh my God. What are we going to do? What's going to happen? Oh my God, what are we going to do? We'll have to replace the whole system. It's all wrong. Policies, we'll have to change everything. Oh my God. So that's what was going through me. So then finally, acceptance. We'll have to kind of work through this. We'll have to look at the recruits. And this is the acceptance. So in their first year with us, first year and a half out on the road, and they're coming from different backgrounds. They're coming from backgrounds where they're coming from college, they're coming from offices, they're coming from very nurtured backgrounds, some of them, and into facing road traffic collisions, facing suicides, facing shootings, facing all different types of traumas. And they're out there sometimes, because we're paramedics, just with another partner, not in the support of 5 or 6 guys, just with the one other guy. And that other guy might be a seasoned, as you say over here, I love this terminology, a salty dog. Yeah, who I was only interested at the end of the shift. and doesn't care about who's with him. And that could be all the best. See you at the end of the shift. Good luck. So we've got to now look at this. It's arguably at their most vulnerable. So we've got to go back to looking at the research. What else was in the research? And they did say, look, CISM was a good thing. We're there for whoever it was. And it was seen as a positive thing. Knowing that you're there, having the same experiences as us, the feedback was good. And coming to see us in the training, the resilience training that we gave them before they went out in the world, they saw that as positive. And checking in us afterwards, because we did see them around the stations after some of the scenes, they saw that as positive. So we were doing some of the things good, and some of the things right. So they did feed that back to us, which was excellent. They also displayed some elements of post-traumatic growth in their first year, which you'd expect from recruits over the first couple of years. They're more appreciative of their family, and after seeing some instances with kids, they're more worried about it, but more aware of things when they get home. They might be more loving towards their own families and their own children, which you'd expect to see with recruits, because it makes them more appreciative of their family and the closeness of the family bond. And these are good things with post-traumatic growth. So this was in the research. We did later research that then looked at perceived social supports, and that's a good thing for, it's a significant positive factor of post-traumatic growth. So this is important now. We've got to look after their social support. And that family support is an important coping strategy for experienced firefighters and recruit firefighters and paramedics. Why is this important for our recruits? And this is important because not all recruits fit into the first few stations they get to. And as you know this, it might take 1 or 2 stations before they feel at home. Now some stations arrive in their first station and they're straight away, they can mix. And they feel at home straight away. And everyone rallies around them. Some recruits need 2 or 3 stations before they find their home. So to get that social support around them, they might not be able to open up, and they might not be able to offload, vent, and find that support from others around them. They might feel very isolated over the first couple of years. So we've got all these worries straight away. So we also asked them about their families. What were their families worried about them as well in the research? And they came back and said their families were always listening about big incidents around their area. Worried about, were they involved in that incident? Were they in that fire? Were they at that shooting? Were they at that road traffic collision? So their families' ears were pricked up, always aware of what was going on. They knew now that their loved one was in the emergency services. They knew their loved one could be facing these bad incidents. So we need to get their families involved a lot more and a lot quicker than we used to in the past. So I paced as the coordinator. Me and my 5 stages of loss. I paced up and down. I scratched my head a lot. I worried. As the coordinator does, the coordinators, as all the team coordinators are, we're a bit of megalomaniacs, aren't we? Nobody can do this like me. If I don't do it, nobody will do it. We've got that attitude, don't we, as coordinators? So we paced up and down, and I came up with the family information night. And we get straight into the recruit class. We have to be out there in the recruit class and get the families and the recruits together while they're out there training. And we picked week 4 of the training. And why I picked week 4 was because they've just finished on week 4, at the end of week 4, their basic firemanship training. So they're getting to know each other at the end of week 4. They've done hose, they've done hose, they've done ladders, they've done branches, they're in their uniform, they're getting a sense of each other. And they're just about to embark on the heavier stuff, the rescue stuff, the breathing apparatus, in smoke and fire, swift water rescue, diving into rivers, mad stuff, crazy. Why would he do that? Road traffic collisions, real heavy rescue kind of training and real exertions. So that's the week we picked. I got the team around, what do you think? And of course the team, yeah, let's go for it. So supportive. Brian Doyle and Michelle O'Toole, they were the researchers behind me. They really got involved. Fantastic. So we went for it, and we went for the training. And that's a great picture because it depicts the recruit going up the ladder on the training and going out, embarking on their career on their own. And we're lucky we have a church on the side of our training centre where we can get the families together, and that's one of the information nights. And we get them together on that night and throw everyone in the same room. The speakers on that night is the brigade training officer that welcomes the whole community of the recruit course together, welcomes them together. We get the recruit fire instructor because the families want to know what the recruit course is like, what's involved for their loved one. They're interested. We get the paramedic instructor to tell them what the paramedic course is like because the families want to know what's involved. Now, what's involved in the paramedic course is lots of study, lots of brain power, and it's not nice, and they'll work with bodies as well. So it's not a nice course at some stages. We get the sports and social rep as well because there's family stuff involved in that side. So we get there's going to be a summer day with bouncy castles. That's usually for the adults. The kids just watch. And closer to Christmas, we get the big guy in, Santy. Santy comes at Christmas. And so the families need to know that. And myself, I get up and I tell them the history of Dublin Fire Brigade, the history of CISM, and the history of why we need CISM in Dublin Fire Brigade. And that their loved ones will have bad days and see bad things. And we give a couple of examples of those things. And that their loved ones will come home some days and just be in a bad way. And not to panic. And not to think it's them. And to look out for certain signs and symptoms that might be chronic. And when to call us. And the training that we have to bring to the table. And the families then, we have staff support services and outside staff support services, they talk as well. And then we have tea and sandwiches. And the CISM team, we break down for tea and sandwiches, and the CISM team then mingle with the families and say, look, what do you think of that information? How do you feel about that information? What do you think about this trauma that your family are going to be exposed to? How do you feel about that? And most of them are very, very positive. We actually get the third generation, second generation coming to us, and they say to us, I get it now. I get why my loved one acted the way they did over the years. I understand how he came home some days. I never knew. I thought he was just an I get it. And we get the wives coming to us and saying this. I thought he was just, no, I won't go into it. But then we come back together, and then there's an entertainment, and then there's the pipe band, and we finish up with a positive end to the night. I always finish with a positive. The pipe band, I think, just make sure they leave the noise. But a fantastic positive end to it, and it's important. And there's our pipe band, Irish champions at the moment, so I'll just throw that in. So it's been run over the last 4 years. It's been very, very positive. We're doing another one in about 3 or 4 weeks. So for the next recruit course that's happening at the moment, and it's proven to be a very successful strategy for us. And it also serves to support the extended DFB family as well. The benefits, it welcomes the families and partners into the DFB culture, Fire Brigade culture, because we have a different culture than anywhere else, and paramedic culture. Like, our humour is a bit different. It's a bit darker and blacker. And so it welcomes people into that, and they start to get what we're about. It educates our recruits coming in, the families and partners, that their loved ones will see horrific things and have bad days. That's huge. That's massive. And you have to let that sink in with their families. And when they're 4 weeks in and they get that news, that's brilliant for us. That's excellent. It makes families and partners aware that there are qualified, tried, and trusted supports available to them. So to not panic, we're there for them. So no matter what happens, we're there to take support. Never to panic. We're always there to take a phone call and to help them through it. It educates families and partners how to support their loved ones on bad days, and how not to get involved sometimes. Stand back, leave them to it, but become a gauge when you're leaving them to it as well, and stand back and wait the few days, and then approach, and when to call it. And that's a very poignant picture just there. That picture is the back of an ambulance after a women's refuge fire. And there was, I'm afraid, 2 young children died in the back of that ambulance after that fire. And there was 2 recruits worked the back of that ambulance. And we did the debrief. I arrived at the station to provide the support straight away at that station. And there was 2 recruits that worked that scene. One was in the fire, and one was working the ambulance. And both of them had been through the family nights and everything like that, and both of them engaged in our services afterwards. I don't know if they would have if we hadn't done the family nights with them. So it's working. So when to call is very, very important, and the families need to know that. Heightened confidence, it has heightened the confidence in CISM from the recruits and their families, and that's been proven in the contacts we've been getting from both. And they've both been heightened, and that's amazing. It solved the problem for us and the gap that we had, which we never knew we had. We thought that's part of it was okay. And unforeseen benefits, it has allowed families and partners to mix and support each other during the training. We found that families have been contacting each other and getting on with each other and say, well, you just live down the road from me. Let's mix numbers, let's support each other through the rest of this training. And actually, they've been lifelong pals now, and it looks like they're going to be lifelong pals and getting on with each other. It's been fantastic. It's a positive, enjoyable night, the family information night. It's a positive introduction to CISM, and it's a positive introduction to our brigade. An unexpected benefit we saw as well, and it came back from feedback from the instructors, because it occurs on week 4, is improved to accelerate the camaraderie of the recruits, the probationers. Apparently this kind of camaraderie only comes around after week 11 or 12, but the week after we've had the information nights, it's been noticed that the camaraderie there is phenomenal. So it's a feedback from the instructors we've been getting this. So our moral for us was research what you do. Keep looking at your system. Keep delving in and never stop improving what you do. We were blind to the problems we had. So by research, we delved in, we had a look. We did go through the 5 stages of loss. I felt it. I panicked. But we went in, we delved in, and we solved the problem. And we'll keep looking for more problems and more issues, and we'll keep going through it. Thanks for listening to me. Fix the flag. Thank you.